Well, this year we're celebrating our nation's 250th birthday, honoring everyday Americans whose extraordinary service and generosity strengthen the country.
It is the perfect way to honor veterans in the St. Louis area who've served their country. Steve Savard joins us now with tonight's Spotlight on Service.
Kelly, Mike, it's nice to have the opportunity to be able to tell these stories. Kirkwood native Frank Jones was 23 in the summer of 1969, serving as boat captain on the backwaters of South Vietnam, intercepting troops and supplies before they reached North Vietnamese forces. He had a newborn son he hadn't even met back in St. Louis, so he adopted a ritual with all he had, Polaroid pictures of his son, before heading out on nightly missions. It reminded Frank and his crew exactly what was at stake.
I had to tap the picture, and it got to a point where even some of my boat crew tapped the picture going out, and I said that was my way of thinking that, okay, that'll protect me, you know. That's my good luck charm, tap the picture. As the boat captain, I told my crew their job was to protect me, so I got to go home and see my baby.
Frank's promotion to boat captain was never planned. Months earlier, the captain of Frank's armored troop carrier had lost the confidence of his crew. Frank and his fellow river rats pleaded with their commanding officer to make a change in leadership. Despite his lack of experience, the crew insisted Frank was the man for the job.
My boat crew pointed at me and said, Frank will do it. He's the oldest, he's married, and he has a child on the way, so that makes him a grown-up. And I kind of smile now because I'm 79, I'm not sure I'm still a grown-up, but they put me in charge of that boat, and I wasn't trained to do that. We had the flight deck, and as you can see over here, the helicopter could land on the flight deck.
Frank never lost a crew member. In fact, despite the dangerous duties, no one was even seriously injured on his watch. Remarkable, given that by Frank's estimate, they were engaged in more than 100 firefights with the North Vietnamese, often in the dark of night.
And it was usually very quick. I mean, firefights didn't last for hours, they lasted for minutes. And you would do your damage shooting and hope you were hitting them because you couldn't see them. You were just shooting toward where the rockets came from. But it was intense, that's for sure.
Frank did meet his son in the summer of 1970 after his year-long tour ended. Although Frank has been diagnosed with PTSD, he says he had it easier than most Vietnam veterans returning to civilian life, thanks to the neighborhood parade his 10-year-old sister threw for him the day after he landed in St. Louis.
There's banners strung across the street, and my sister and all her little friends had cut up all kinds of paper, and they threw confetti all over me when I'm walking down the street. And people I'd known since I was 4 years old on that street stayed home from work to be there, and so I got a parade, and you're not going to hear that very often from a Vietnam vet.
That parade made a difference in your life.
Big time, big time.
That newborn son is now 56. Frank and his wife Linda raised 3 children and are grandparents. Frank's commanding officer in Vietnam told me that Frank was mature beyond his years, which made his unlikely promotion to boat captain work so well. These days, Frank is still giving back. He volunteers with Greater St. Louis Honor Flight after taking his honor flight a few years ago. And Mike and Kelly, I want to thank photographer and editor Andy Broadway for helping me tell Frank Jones' story.
And he's so right. Good for his sister for throwing the parade, because a lot, like he said, a lot of Vietnam veterans did not come back to a parade.
And he knows he had it good that way, and it helped him.
Got that recognition.
Yep.
Steve, thanks.